Is the European Union on its way to becoming a surveillance society like China?
The European Digital Identity.
This cheery introduction to the EU's upcoming digital identity program tells citizens that it will make their lives easier while keeping them safer online.
The European Digital Identity wallets will enable us to store and exchange documents and legal information while fully controlling which data we want to share with whom.
ID data sent.
EU President Ursula von der Leyen says digital identities will give citizens control over how their personal data is used and will help stop identity theft. The so-called digital wallet will be an app on a person's phone and will contain only the information a person wants it to include, such as medical or financial information.
Credit rating sent. Income statement sent.
It's already under attack in the European Parliament as something that would be ripe for government abuse. One of its chief critics, European Parliament member Christian Turres, was born in communist Romania and has long been warning of the EU's so-called Chinafication.
Clearly, we are witnessing right now the Chinafication of Europe, because we see what is happening in China right now with the social credit score, where the government is monitoring and surveilling all the people from the beginning to end. Everything that they do, everything, everywhere where they walk, they control everything and they watch everything. This is the example of a tyranny.
The EU insists the digital identity program will be voluntary. Skeptics are wondering how long before it becomes mandatory.
How voluntary is the European Digital Identity Wallet? But even more important, how voluntary will it remain in the future? Because the European Union always comes up with nice plans to eventually abuse it, to create more control.
The EU's COVID passport was supposed to be temporary. Now Brussels wants to extend it until at least June of next year. COVID passports have been used to prevent the unvaccinated from crossing borders, entering grocery stores, using public transit, and even going to their jobs. It's helped fuel violent demonstrations, the likes of which Europe hasn't seen for decades. Some in Washington are urging Joe Biden to establish digital identities for Americans as a way of fighting identity theft. There's also support in Congress. The so-called Improving Digital Identity Act of 2020 never made it to a vote, but could be revived. We asked an expert on digital identities if they are indeed a necessary safeguard against identity theft. The Director of Engineering at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Alexis Hancock, not only said no, but said digital IDs are more likely to encourage identity theft.
I think this actually increases the attack vector. This makes you a bigger target in my eyes, especially if a government issued digital identity. When you have something on the internet for a long time, there's an increased potential of it being breached in some fashion because of this long-term storage. And when you're able to associate something like that with a particular person, you can pivot from that long-term identifier to other information about them and compromise, say, your bank accounts or compromise some sort of information about you.
Not only are digital IDs coming to Europe, but in Italy, the cities of Rome and Bologna have begun social credit programs that reward citizens for behavior that officials think will fight climate change, like using a bicycle instead of a car. A social credit system could be easily incorporated into a digital identity. Austrian Catholic leader Alexander Chukwuel says that in any European social credit system, Christians will lose because of their opposition to issues like abortion that the EU views as a human right.
Therefore, I do not want the European Union to have the possibility to look into everything I do, everything I say, everything I have, and how I move and where I am at any time. Those systems are pushed by people who are highly anti-Christian.
Torres warns that the EU's new digital ID is the next step in a process in which the government in Brussels will micromanage every aspect of people's lives.
This is what makes the difference between a tyranny and democracy. When you know everything about what your government does, that's democracy. When the government knows everything about you, that is tyranny.
Hurd, CBN News.